Welcome to Voices of History. We begin the journey toward Rome's decline. Can a single man usher in the fall of an entire empire? Under Commodus, son of the wise Marcus Aurelius, Rome went from the stability of the Golden Age to the chaos of corruption, madness, and terror.
All right, learner. We're diving into some seriously fascinating Roman history today, with a deep dive into the reign of Emperor Commodus.
Yeah, one of the most infamous Roman emperors.
I mean, we've all seen Gladiator, right?
Right, exactly. The movie with Joaquin Phoenix as Commodus, yeah.
So we're going to be looking at him, but through the lens of history, of course, and seeing how accurate that portrayal was.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, so our mission today, learner, is to figure out why some historians look at Commodus' rule as the beginning of the end for the Roman Empire.
Yeah, and really try to understand what life was like in Rome during his reign and how people experienced this supposed turning point.
Exactly. So think of this as your shortcut to understanding a pretty pivotal moment in Roman history. So to kick things off, let's set the stage a bit. Before Commodus came to power, Rome had experienced what many historians often call the Golden Age, particularly under emperors like Trajan and Marcus Aurelius.
Right, the philosopher emperor.
Yeah, exactly, the Stoic dude.
Yeah.
And this period was generally associated with peace and prosperity.
Stability, generally a good time to be alive in Rome.
Yeah, relatively good.
Yeah, for sure.
But then comes Commodus, and things take a really sharp turn.
Yeah, Dio Cassius, who was a senator during Commodus's reign, he really saw this as a major turning point.
Yeah.
He basically said, this is it. This is where Rome stops being Rome and it becomes something else.
Yeah. And he went so far as to call Commodus' rule a reign of iron.
A ray of iron, yeah, as opposed to the, golden age that preceded it.
Yeah, quite the contrast. So let's talk about this Dio Cassius guy a little bit more.
Sure.
I mean, he was a first-hand witness to all of this, right?
Exactly. He wasn't just some historian writing centuries later. He was actually there living through it, experiencing Commodus' reign as a senator. And it's interesting because our commentary, Commodus et Principia del Fin, points out that he was a pretty big admirer of Marcus Aurelius.
Okay.
So you can imagine how jarring this transition must have felt for him.
Oh, yeah. Going from, the philosopher king to
Commodus, yeah. It's a pretty stark difference.
Yeah, to somebody who is very different.
Yeah.
Even mentions that Dio Cassius' assessment of Commodus is so influential that it shaped the way historians have viewed him for centuries.
Right.
Even really famous historians like Edward Gibbon, who wrote The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire.
Yeah, Gibbon basically picks up where Dio Cassius left off and says, yeah, this is the beginning of the end.
Exactly. So what's really interesting here is that initially, the Roman people actually loved Commodus.
Yeah, that's the crazy part, right?
Yeah.
You've got this emperor who's viewed by historians as this terrible turning point, this awful ruler.
Right.
And yet the people loved him.
Yeah, and Commodus Principio del Fin really emphasizes this. They talk about how he was young, good-looking, physically impressive, like a real celebrity figure.
Rock star.
Yeah, a rock star, exactly.
And he put on these huge, lavish games for the people.
Oh, yeah.
Chariot races, gladiatorial combats, all that stuff.
I mean, who doesn't love a good gladiator fight, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was entertainment on a massive scale.
Yeah, and so even though the kind of day-to-day governing might have been slipping a bit under Commodus,
right,
he was really good at maintaining this public image.
Exactly. He knew how to play to the crowd and keep them happy.
Yeah, and it kind of makes you wonder how much the image of a leader can overshadow their actual effectiveness.
Yeah, I mean, how much were people willing to overlook just because they liked the guy or enjoyed the games he put on?
Right. It's a really interesting question.
Yeah, it is. And it kind of ties into a bigger issue that was happening at this time, which is the erosion of the traditional power structures in Rome.
Okay, so talk to me about that.
So, by Commodus' time, the Roman Empire was already a monarchy.
Right.
But there were still these remnants of the old republic.
Right.
The Senate still had some influence, at least in theory.
Okay.
But Commodus really started to chip away at that.
Yeah.
He sidelined the Senate. He took more and more power for himself.
And Commodus Principio del Fin really highlights this shift towards a more autocratic style of rule.
Yeah, exactly. He's consolidating power, making himself the absolute ruler.
Right, and that would have long-term consequences for the stability of the empire.
Oh, absolutely, because you're taking away those checks and balances, those other voices in government, and putting all the power in the hands of one person.
Yeah, not always a good recipe.
No, especially when that one person is more interested in pleasure than in governing.
Yeah, and that seems to be a big part of the Commodus story, right?
Yeah, he was definitely known for his extravagant lifestyle.
Yeah, and Commodus at Principio del Fin talks about how he basically preferred a life of leisure, and that created all these opportunities for his favorites to step in and manage the state.
Right. These favorites, or valentes, as they were sometimes called.
Yeah, and they didn't always have the best interests of the empire at heart.
No, often they were more interested in enriching themselves.
Right. He specifically mentions this guy, Satyrus, a freedman, who became Commodus's chamberlain.
Right.
And he basically amassed a ton of power and influence behind the scenes.
Yeah, you can imagine how that went down with the traditional Roman elite.
Yeah, not well.
No, they were used to being the ones in charge, and now you've got these upstarts, these freedmen, amassing wealth and power.
Right. And it just bred resentment and instability.
Exactly. It's like a powder keg waiting to explode.
And explode it did in 182 AD with the first major conspiracy against Commodus.
Right. The plot involving his own sister, Lucilla.
Yeah, Lucilla and some of her allies in the Senate, they decided they'd had enough, and they tried to assassinate him.
Yeah, and Commodus el Principio del Fin suggests that there was a lot of personal drama mixed in with the political intrigue.
Yeah, apparently Lucilla was also pretty jealous of Commodus's wife.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's this really fascinating blend of family feuds and power struggles.
Yeah, and it all goes down right in the heart of the imperial family.
Yeah, talk about a dysfunctional family.
Right, this is like Roman Empire Game of Thrones.
Yeah, exactly. And as you might expect, this assassination attempt didn't end well for anyone involved.
No, it failed. And
Yeah.
Commodus unleashed a pretty brutal crackdown.
Yeah, executions, banishments.
Lucilla herself was exiled and later killed.
Yeah, and Commodus el Principio del Fin makes an interesting point that this whole purge actually benefited a guy named Perennis, who was the Praetorian prefect at the time.
Right, the Praetorian prefect, essentially the head of the emperor's bodyguard.
Yeah, a very powerful position.
And Perennis used the chaos of the conspiracy to get rid of his rivals and consolidate his own power.
Yeah, he confirms that he became a major player during this period.
Yeah, and this is a pattern we see over and over again in Roman history.
Right.
When you have an emperor who's not really interested in governing or who's easily manipulated,
Right.
the Praetorian prefects, they could become incredibly powerful and dangerous.
Yeah, and we see that play out again with a later figure.
Yeah, with Cleander.
Yeah, so Perennis eventually falls from grace. The Commodus wiki says he was accused of trying to make his son the next emperor.
Right, a little too ambitious.
Yeah, and then Cleander steps into the void.
Commodus el Principio del Fin really paints him as this incredibly corrupt figure.
Yeah, they say he started as a slave,
Right.
climbed up through the ranks, married one of Commodus's former mistresses.
And basically became the de facto ruler of the empire.
Yeah. Selling public offices for his own personal gain.
Yeah, just rampant corruption.
On a massive scale.
Yeah, Commodus el Principio del Fin even mentions that he appointed something like 25 consuls in a single year.
25 consuls in 1 year.
Yeah, that's unheard of. It just shows how much he was willing to exploit his position for personal gain.
Yeah, and you can only imagine what the traditional senatorial class thought about all this.
Oh, they were furious. They were
Yeah.
being completely sidelined and their positions were being sold to the highest bidder.
Right, and it's not just about them being upset, it's about the impact this kind of corruption has on the whole system.
Exactly. It undermines the administration. It makes it less efficient, less trustworthy.
Yeah, and eventually all this discontent boiled over.
Yeah. In 190 AD, Rome was hit with a major food shortage.
And Commodus el Principio del Fin blames this on the prefect of the Annona, the guy in charge of the grain supply.
Right.
Apparently he was trying to get revenge on Cleander.
Oh, wow. So personal vendettas are now affecting the food supply of Rome.
Exactly. Imagine that chaos.
It just shows how dysfunctional and unstable things had become under Commodus.
Yeah, and people were starving, so they took to the streets.
But these huge protests in Rome, people demanding action.
Then they wanted Cleander's head.
Right. He became the scapegoat for the food shortage, even if he wasn't directly responsible.
Yeah, and Commodus, under pressure from his mistress Marcia, eventually gave in and had Cleander executed.
It's pretty amazing to think that an emperor would be swayed by a mob like that.
It is, but it shows how much power the people could still wield, even in an increasingly autocratic system.
Right.
But getting rid of Cleander didn't magically solve Rome's problems.
No, it just created a new power vacuum.
Right.
And he tells us that after Cleander's death, influence shifted to a group that included Marcia Commodus's mistress, the chamberlain Eclectus, and the Praetorian prefect Latus.
Okay.
So you still have this issue of unelected favorites wielding a huge amount of influence behind the scenes.
Right, and it's around this time that Commodus's behavior starts to get even more erratic and tyrannical.
Yeah, Commodus Principio Delphine describes a real uptick in executions, particularly of senators.
Yeah, anyone who seemed like a threat.
Right, and he also started engaging in these really strange religious practices.
Okay, what kind of practices are we talking about?
Well, Commodus Principio Delphine mentions alleged human sacrifices within the rites of Mithras.
Human sacrifices.
Yeah, it's pretty dark stuff.
Yeah, and then there was the Great Fire in Rome.
All right, in 191 AD, a huge fire ripped through the city.
Yeah, and most emperors would have seen this as a tragedy, a disaster to be dealt with.
Right.
But not Commodus. He saw it as an opportunity.
An opportunity for what?
For some seriously extreme personal branding. He describes how he renamed Rome Colonia Lucia Annea Commodiana.
Basically, Commodus town.
Yeah, exactly.
He renamed the months of the year, the legions, even the Senate, all after himself.
Yeah, it's like he was trying to erase the past and make Rome all about him.
Yeah, it's a pretty clear sign of megalomania.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's the whole gladiator thing.
Right, Commodus actually fighting in the arena.
Yeah, and this was a huge scandal for the Roman elite.
Oh, absolutely. Commodus El Principio Delphine really emphasizes how shocking and inappropriate this was.
Right. To have the emperor, the most powerful man in the world, dressing up as a gladiator and fighting for entertainment.
It just completely undermined the dignity of the office in there.
He even mentions these rumors that were circulating at the time.
What kind of rumors?
Well, people were saying that Commodus's real father wasn't Marcus Aurelius, but a gladiator.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's like this whole thing with him fighting in the arena was playing into these existing rumors and doubts about his legitimacy.
Right, it was a real PR disaster for him.
Yeah, so you've got this emperor who's behaving erratically.
Right.
He's executing people. He's renaming everything after himself. He's fighting as a gladiator.
Yeah.
It's not surprising that another conspiracy started brewing.
Yeah, Commodus Principio Delphine tells us that Marcia, his mistress, found a death list.
Yeah, and guess whose names were on it?
Hers, I'm guessing?
Yeah, hers, the Chamberlain Eclectus, and the Praetorian Prefect Latus.
Oh, wow. So basically everyone close to Commodus was on this list.
Yeah, he'd become paranoid and distrustful of everyone.
And they realized that they had to act fast or they were all going to be killed.
Yeah, so they decided to take him out. Yeah, Marcia tried to poison Commodus, but it didn't work.
Right. So they sent an athlete, a wrestler named Narcissus, to strangle him in his bath.
Yeah, on December 31st, 192 AD.
Not exactly a glorious end for an emperor.
No, and the aftermath was pure chaos.
Yeah. Commodus Principio Delphine points out that his death marked the end of the Antonine dynasty.
Right.
And it plunged the empire into this period called the Year of the Five Emperors.
Yeah, basically a civil war with all these different claimants to the throne fighting for power.
Yeah, it was a really unstable time, and it shows just how much damage Commodus had done to the fabric of the empire.
Right, and yet there's this weird twist in the story.
Yeah.
Where Septimius Severus actually tried to rehabilitate Commodus's memory.
Really?
Yeah, he wanted to associate himself with the prestige of the Antonines.
Okay, so he's trying to rewrite history a little bit.
Yeah, essentially he's saying Commodus wasn't that bad after all.
It's fascinating how even in death, Commodus's legacy was still being manipulated for political purposes.
Yeah, history is always being written and rewritten.
Absolutely.
So, learner, as we wrap up this deep dive, what are the key takeaways from all this?
Well, I think it's clear that Commodus's reign represents a pivotal shift in Roman history.
Yeah.
We see a move away from this period of relative stability and good governance that characterized the Golden Age.
Right.
And we enter into a new era, one marked by internal conflict, corruption, and the increasing power of the individual emperor.
Yeah, at the expense of traditional institutions like the Senate.
Exactly.
And there are some pretty incredible aha moments in this story.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, the contrast between the initial public adoration for Commodus and his eventual descent into tyranny is just mind-blowing.
Right. And the things he did, the gladiator fights, renaming Rome after himself, it really shows a ruler who had completely lost touch with reality.
Yeah. And the stories of these corrupt figures like Perennis and Cleander, they highlight just how dangerous it can be when power becomes too concentrated in the hands of a few.
Absolutely.
It's a lot to think about, isn't it?
It really is.
And it raises some big questions like, do you think Commodus's reign was really the beginning of the end for Rome?
That's a tough question.
Yeah. Or were these events just symptoms of deeper problems that were already there?
Right.
And how much does the public's perception of a leader really matter in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, even if that perception turns out to be completely wrong.
Right.
These are all questions worth pondering, learner. And if you're interested in digging deeper into this period, I highly recommend checking out The Year of the Five Emperors
Yeah.
and the subsequent rise of the Severan dynasty.
Right.
You can see how the issues that emerged under Commodus played out in the decades that followed.
Yeah, and exploring the lives and reigns of figures like Pertinax and Septimius Severus can give you an even better understanding of this really tumultuous period in Roman history.
Absolutely. It's a fascinating era full of intrigue, betrayal, and power struggles.
Yeah, and it's all right there waiting to be discovered.
So happy exploring, learner.
Yeah, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the reign of Commodus.
See you next time.
As always, thank you. This is how we begin the journey toward the decline of Rome. If you liked it, give it a like and subscribe to the Voices of History channel. Best regards, and see you on the Roman roads.